Hi, I'm Vanessa Frank, and welcome to Be My Guest. Be My Guest is a space where I sit down with extraordinary people I've met along the way, visionaries, creators, and resilient souls, each with a story that deserves to be heard. These conversations are real, they're raw, and meant to inspire. So settle in. Be my guest. Today we have Debbie Wecselman, who is a very successful and renowned interior designer here in Miami and in New York as well, right?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
okay.
Worldwide. We're like worldwide, both of us, Peruvian worldwide girls.
It was made in Peru.
Sí, claro.
And exported to the United States. So I love your story, and I think that behind a very interesting character, there is a beautiful story of resilience and hard work, and that's why we're sitting here today, because I was inspired to do this to basically inspire people and educate people, so that, there's so many people sometimes that have so much fear and they're stuck. So listening to stories like this, they get encouraged to move and do things. So that's the purpose. And so you were born and raised. Basically, she's my neighbor. Okay, let me just tell you that.
Yeah, we live in the same street. So we're not only Peruvians, but we're Peruvians that live in Surfside. How many are there?
Exactly, very unique.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
we're special.
So special, such a special place. So tell me, how you were born and raised in Peru?
Lima. I was born in Lima. Mm-hmm. I went to school, elementary, middle school, high school, in a girls' school, English. My parents were Europeans. And I had an amazing childhood growing up in Lima, Peru. I always wanted to be an architect. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't that good in math, you know? So my mother, as a good Jew, said, if you can't be an architect, how about interior design? If you can't be a doctor, how about an accountant or a lawyer?
Right.
So I started in Lima, interior design school. Mm-hmm. For a year, and then I transferred to New York to Parsons. Mm-hmm. I finished Parsons. The program at the time was environmental design, and then they separated architecture and interior design, but at the time it was all together. Mm-hmm. And I was lucky and blessed to find a job. I needed a job because at the time I had a boyfriend and I wanted to stay. And
how old were you at that time?
I was 24.
Okay. You had a boyfriend where?
In New York.
Oh, in New York.
Sí.
I see. Okay.
And I needed a visa. I'm an immigrant. So,
right.
I had to work hard and find it the right way. So I found a job. I worked for Ralph Lauren for 13 years.
Yeah, that was one of my questions.
Yeah.
Because,
yes. And at the beginning, I started, just serving.
How did you got that job?
Serving coffee. Serving coffee. I think I am a good storyteller. So I was lucky to get an interview through school, and when I got there, they were growing a lot internationally, and they needed somebody who speaks languages and somebody worldly. And so I gave them the story. I said that I ride horses, which I've never been on a horse. I had an hacienda, which I didn't have one.
Oh, wow.
But I knew the story, like Ralph is the best storyteller in the world. And you have to kind of follow that a little bit.
And
at the time, I needed a job. And I needed a job for a big company that could give me the visa. They didn't know that. After the interview, they offered me the job. And I said, well, I have a little problem. I need a green card. Or at least an H1. So they were happy enough to help me, the process. And I worked with them for 13 years at the beginning, just as an assistant, then as a director.
13 years?
Senior vice president. Yeah, I ran international store design. So I did all of the stores internationally for Ralph Lauren for 13 years. Yeah, and when I left, the last store I did was London. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've seen the big store in London.
No.
It's in New Bond Street. It's very beautiful.
Really?
Yeah, very beautiful. But those projects take years, and a lot of people. It wasn't just me. There were a lot of people. When we would go into, for example, the market in Paris to shop, it was an entourage, you would come in like people with the drivers and the cars, because we would pick, we were buying and buying and buying. We were growing.
Right.
So if somebody asked me, what's your favorite thing? I'm like, to shop.
Of course.
With other people's money.
That's the best.
Yeah. Anyway, so at the end of 99, my husband at the time, our kids were little.
Wait, so you were married in the process? In the process.
Yeah. And so we had 2 kids, 2 boys. And we needed to decide school, elementary school.
Yeah.
And the oldest one got into a school in New York, which is impossible to get in anywhere. But then all my friends and my family came from Peru, and they were like, already, come and try Miami. It was 1999. Miami was very early in the development. There was nothing in Sunny Isles.
Nothing.
No, yeah, 1 building tall, Pinnacle. That was it.
Oh, Pinnacle.
And I bought in Ocean One. That's when we were one time in American Airlines, the magazine?
Yeah.
And there was an advertisement for
like,
Ocean One. And I said to my husband, why don't we go try it? So we stopped for a day or 2. We went to look at it, and we ended up buying the apartment with Michelle Miller.
Wow, that's
how I know her.
Forever.
Yeah, forever, yes. And little by little, we realized we tried it for a year, and we said we were going to stay for a year and try it. We loved it. There was nothing not to love.
What's not to love?
My kids would play tennis every day, and
you're outside, and
it was hard at the beginning. Then that's when I first said, okay, I'm going to take a little time off and enjoy myself, but I couldn't. I can't sit still.
Right.
I know is not an answer for me. When a door closes, another one opens.
That's
I feel
a good one right there.
And I decided that it was time to open my firm, and I opened it with one person, myself, and $2,000 in my account.
Wow, I love that story.
April
so
2000.
how did it start?
So it all started because I did my apartment in Ocean One, and people saw it. And they loved it, and they were like, "Oh, can you help me? Can you help me?" Yeah, but helping is one thing, but then you need to get paid for your help, right?
Yes.
So I said, okay, I'm going to start. And a friend of mine recommended me to someone in Panama, funny enough. And so she trusted me and flew me to Panama, and I started the first job. And then we did another job for somebody else, and then we were starting with word of mouth, and then I hired one girl to assist me, help me as an assistant. And then we got our first commercial break. We did a hotel, this is 20 years ago, in Ocean Drive, like some 60 units that we had to do. And so I needed the whole building. It was the owners of the plaza in New York. They did this as a trial because Ocean Drive at the time was the hottest thing. Kelly had a hotel there, Wursler. Yes. Ocean Drive was the hottest thing there was. People would love to stay there, right?
Right.
So we were so excited. And after that, I realized I was working from home at the time. I realized that once you get like a big developer, you can't bring them home. For dinners, but not for a meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
So then I moved, I got my office, and then there were 2, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people. We got always word of mouth. And then I think the world exploded when COVID started. I thought I was going to go under because suddenly the world was dead.
Right.
And then 2 months later, we went from 11 jobs to 72 jobs because everybody wanted something. And
you mean at the same time?
Yeah.
72 jobs at the same time. So how many people is in your team?
There's 15 now, 14. I mean, I think I have to give a lot of credit to the girl that does all of my PR and development because she believed in me, I believed in her. She pushed me to do a lot of things that I wasn't comfortable at the time.
Putting yourself out of your comfort zone is a big one.
Yeah, like I didn't have Facebook at the time. I didn't have Instagram. I didn't do videos. I didn't do any of this. I wouldn't do model apartments. We got involved with a lot of the developers in town, and so they, got to know me. I'm doing a lot of their personal private homes. And it's just, Miami's a word of mouth. You just have to do a good job, right? You have to make sure that the client is happy. Doesn't matter what, even if you don't make money.
It's not your journey. I mean, it's like you're there to really put into reality their vision, or is it your vision feeling
No,
their...
it's never your vision. My vision is my home, and that's who I am, and that's what I love. But it's me guiding them through their vision in an organized and in a professional manner, right? Because a dream also costs money. You have to be able to massage both.
Right, and bring them to reality.
Yeah, and the timing and what they really want, what they see in HGTV, it's not $5,000 and, it doesn't happen like that.
Right.
But it's been an amazing process. I wouldn't do anything else in my life. I don't know how to do anything else.
Right.
And I enjoy the process of meeting new people, because every new people is a new story, and I love the storytelling.
Yes. Well, that's how it all started, like with the storytelling, right?
Yeah.
So that's very inspiring.
Yeah.
So what do you think is like the trend right now with interior design?
So I think the world always goes, it's the same as in fashion, right? When fashion does something, the world emulates in many ways. I think we're turning the corner from a minimalist, soft interior where everybody wanted the beige and the whites and the neutrals to a maximalism. People want color, people want print, people are tired of just basic beige, right? Beige is nice, but there has to be something else. Beige is comfortable, but I think there's room for a lot of other things, and we're hearing a lot of other things people wanting. Right? So I think the trend is, and I also think it's about efficiency, I think comfort, and I think it's not about the huge spaces anymore. It's about enjoying what you have, cocooning a little bit more, because people I think the big spaces made sense during COVID time where people had to have a lot of their families and places. These days people are, want to experience different things. So they're traveling a lot more. I don't know if you hear that.
Yes.
Miami is a place where you hear all day long. They love Miami, but they don't have to buy the biggest apartment in Miami or the biggest home. And it's just a place that they use whenever they want to.
Right. Who is Debbie when it's not working? Or are you a workaholic? Do you work 7 days a week? Do you take time for yourself?
I work 7 days a week at all times. So you'll find me working sometimes Saturday, Sunday evening. I'm like going. But my job is to find and be creative. So I'm constantly sourcing, right? It's not really a job. It's like a life. You know, I'm constantly looking for something. I was now in Mexico City. I spend the day looking around, inspiring myself. What's new? What's different? What do I want different? But I've learned, after so many years of like thinking, that I have to give myself a little time. So I give myself a bit more time. I took one day morning off, and that's for me. I do whatever I haven't done during the week. I'm trying to be more out there in terms of social, friends and events, and because it's hard for me to entertain and go out and be part of a networking. But you have to do I'm the face, so somehow you've got to put yourself out there.
Yeah, it is true. You're good at it, by the way. I mean, you always putting together dinners with different people.
I try.
You're doing a good job. I'm pretty sure that also your husband has been very supportive of this.
My husband is a frustrated designer. He's the yang to the yin kind of thing.
There has to be a yang to the yin for success.
Yeah. And you know what? I trust his instinct quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's an amazing dresser. I mean, I wouldn't buy something if I don't.
I see him walking.
Yeah. No, but he's got an amazing closet. We rent the house sometimes for big photo shoots, and the stylists, they just go through his closet because they love.
So he's been a big support in your life.
Yeah, he used to have a store in New York. I mean, he has a different story.
And that he comes to you to trips, like whatever you have.
He comes all the time now. And the reason why I do it is You know, I'm all the time working during the day, but I love that night, like winding down and having a drink or
Winding down with a glass of wine.
Yeah, and having a conversation. And I always like kind of have a discussion with him, you know, like, what do you think? You know, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that is for sure, yeah.
He's a good supportive person.
Well, I think that if he wouldn't be, then you probably either that relationship would have failed or your career would have had to give
Well, listen,
in.
being a woman
Yeah, that's
and
what I'm
working
saying.
full time,
Yeah.
you have to have a good husband and a good housekeeper. I don't know if in that order. But because my parents like passed away when I was, you know, younger. It's been, you know, so I don't have a
You
lot
didn't
of
have the support system. Well, your husband was.
Yeah, but I have to thank both of them, honestly, because
for
I'm
sure.
who I am because of both of them. And my kids are very proud of having a working mom.
Yeah,
They
of
love
course.
that.
Yeah,
They're looking for
they're
girlfriends at work.
Oh, yeah. We're putting como en Spanish,
Yeah,
está
like,
poniendo la barra alta.
Yeah.
If you would have to say one piece of advice to the audience, like, what would be the advice you would like to give? Whichever one you want to say.
I have
Whatever
a few.
you want to say.
I have a few.
Let's say,
I think
let's say a
the
few.
first thing the first advice I would give somebody young is always work with whoever you admire. You know, work for someone that has an amazing talent and that you admire what they do. And that's how you'll really learn, right? Number one. And put the work. It doesn't matter if they don't pay you. It doesn't matter if you work till 8 o'clock. I used to work till 8 o'clock every night at Ralph Lauren and get up early and work on the weekends. But I'm so grateful that I did because that's the experience that you get. And never say no. No is not an answer.
I love that.
You know?
Absolutely. I love that.
There's always a different way of seeing something. It might not be the right, but it's not no. It's maybe, you know, there's always a way of changing something.
Did you ever imagine, like growing up in Peru, that you would end up living out, like you always knew you were going to live somewhere else, deep inside, or not really?
You know what? I think I didn't know what my life was going to be. I think the moment I met my husband, I realized that I wasn't going back and that I had to work hard and fend for myself because, you know, in Peru, life is a bit cushy. It's who you know. You know, starting in America, we don't know anybody. I had to knock a lot of doors and I had to a lot of people said no, or until they get to know who you really were before. Because your life in Peru is different than your life, you know, was here.
Yeah.
You know,
you have to
you have the relationships in Peru. You know, here I couldn't pick up the phone and call the president because I don't know him. You know, hi, no. You know, it's different. So you have to work hard.
Here you're a nobody when you come. That's exactly it. And you just have to prove your talent. You have to work really, really hard. But
it's so worthwhile to accomplish.
Yeah, and the United States for sure is a place where you can come and make your dreams happen, for sure. I mean,
and the truth is, it's a safe place.
It is, thank God. Yes. Well, thank you so much.
You're so welcome, and thank you for having me in your home.
Thanks.